to discuss docket 0310. It is an order approving a petition for a special law, an act concerning the retirement classification for Boston school police officers. This matter was sponsored by our colleague, City Councilor Frank Baker, referred to committee on February the 6th, and it was also a refile from 2015. This home rule petition seeks to amend state law and place Boston school police officers in Group 2 classification for retirement purposes. The home rule petition would amend Section 3 of Chapter 32 of the Mass General Laws. Currently, Boston school police officers are classified in Group 1, which consists of officials and general employees, including clerical and administrative workers. Before I turn it over to the lead sponsor, Councilor Frank Baker, for opening remarks, I'd like to note that this hearing is being streamlined live on Boston City Council TV, as well as being recorded and will be broadcast on Comcast Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and Verizon 1964. I know that we've also been joined by several colleagues. To my left, City Councilor Anissa Asabi-George. To my far left, who was here first? Came in together. We'll go by seniority. City Councilor Mark Siomo, and also joined by City Councilor Ed Flynn. I'm sure other colleagues will be popping in as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to the lead sponsor for opening comments. City Councilor Frank Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everybody, for coming here today. This home rule petition for special law regarding an act concerning the retirement classification for Boston school police officers will amend the Massachusetts general law to specifically add Boston school police officers to Group 2 retirement classification. Currently, Boston school police officers fall under Group 1, which consists mainly of clerical and administrative workers. The Boston school police officers carry handcuffs and mace and are licensed under BPD Rule 400A as special police officers. They have the power to make arrests, preserve order, and enforce the laws of the Commonwealth. Boston school police are trained by the Boston Police Department, the National Association of School Resource Officers, and complete a Boston Special Police Officer Training Academy prior to being assigned to one of our middle or high school campuses. Additionally, Boston school police are certified first responders and successfully complete National Incident Management Systems, NIMS, emergency management courses. School police officers provide much-needed school-based community policing and work very closely with BPD, MBTA, Crimes Against Children, Juvenile Court, and Probation, and the Department of Youth Services, aiding departments in solving and preventing crimes. Over the last 30 years, the Boston School Police have confiscated thousands of dangerous weapons in our schools. Some have even endured assault while working in our schools. Our school police are our on-site first responders responsible for providing a safe environment for students to learn, prevent intruders and/or tragedy. In the wake of several shootings on our school campuses across our country, I think it's time to take a serious look at how we are classifying our trained school police. I believe they deserve to be included in Group 2 among many of their peers in law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. My colleagues have any additional opening comments?
Yeah.
Councilor Flynn has one. Chair recognizes Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I just want to say thank you to Councilor Baker for your strong leadership on this important issue. I had the opportunity many years ago to work as a substitute teacher in the Boston public school system at South Boston High School and Charlestown High School, and seeing the professionalism of our school police every day. And, you know, they provide a much-needed service to our city, to our students, and they're highly competent, highly trained, very professional. And I strongly support what Councilor Baker is proposing here. And as a probation officer for 10 years, I also worked closely with the school department police as well, and continue to see that professionalism and hard work and determination, not only protecting public safety, but working closely with our students. The school police, we're always treating people with respect and dignity, and I'm proud to support going from Group 1 to Group 2, because this is also a question about fairness, and I certainly think the school police deserve that. And it's not based on anything other than the hard work, professionalism, determination, the way they treat our public. So I'm glad to work with Councilor Baker on this important home rule. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilor Mark Siomo for an opening.
Let me join my friend from South Boston in thanking Councilor Baker for this order. You know, these folks that work in our schools are put in danger in a lot of dangerous situations, and sometimes we don't even give them the resources they need to be effective. So, you know, the fact that they are in these dangerous situations, I think that they also deserve it. I just have a couple of questions when we get into the questioning.
Thank you. Any additional? Chair recognizes Councilor, right. Councilor Saba George concurs with the opening statements. So with that, we're going to turn it right over to the administration panel. We are joined today by Timothy Smith, who's the attorney and executive officer for the Boston Retirement Board, and also joined by Porrick Lyden, also an attorney and general counsel for the Retirement Board. So welcome, gentlemen, and name and affiliation for the record, and you have the floor. Tell us your thoughts on this issue.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Smith. I'm the executive officer of the Boston Retirement System, and to my left is Porrick Lyden, our general counsel. The issue presented is group classification, and you may ask, what is that? Group classification is part of the benefit calculation that we use to determine somebody's pension. In essence, it sets what's called the age factor. As you probably know, a pension is comprised of three components: the age factor, the number of years of service, which we call credible service, and your final average salary. To make the numbers easy, and it looks like all these gentlemen predate pension reform, which is April 2012, I'll use those age factors. If you were to change their group classification from 1 to 2, what that does is the maximum age factor for Group 1 is 2.5 at age 65. If they went to Group 2, it would be 2.5 at age 60. So to make the numbers easy, you'd go 2.5 times, we'll say 32 years of service. That equates to 80% of your top 3 years of salary. And that's really, in a nutshell, the benefit that you'd be bestowing on these gentlemen.
And for educational purposes, is Group 3, Group 4, like, can you just, what's the additional groups?
Group 3 is state police, which I have very little experience with. Group 4 is public safety. In our system, it's typically police, fire, EMS.
And Group 4 works in what way? That's 2.5?
Same, except the maximum age factor is 55.
So it's 2.5 at 55?
Correct.
Very good.
And again, that's for the folks who started prior to April 2012. When pension reform came in, they adjusted those age factors.
So for employees that are prior to 2012, how does it work for them?
That just as prior?
Yeah, prior to 2012. They're grandfathered, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And what's their system?
It's just as I indicated, so they would be 2.5 at age 60.
At age 60. Gotcha. Any questions, Councilor Baker?
Yeah, the change between 12 and prior to that is just a 5-year, is it, like, if you're in the system now, it's 5 years? Where
That's
your
one.
top 5 years now, it's it was top 3 years?
That's one of the changes. There were actually a multitude. I could
Yeah.
talk all day
We
about
don't need
that,
to
but that is one of them. So we went from the top 3 years to the top 5, but they also increased the age to hit the age factor. So I think, what is it now for Group 1? It's 67? 67, and it was similar changes to the other groups as well.
Yeah.
So Group 1 was 67, Group 2 went to 65?
Do you know?
62.
62
years.
So it's a 2-year jump?
Yeah.
Okay.
Group 1 is now 67
No, that's, well, for the new people, right?
for the new people, okay.
Post 2012?
Correct.
Gotcha.
And quite frankly, we haven't started to see any of those folks yet.
Do you have any sense of how many people we're talking about here in this unit?
I do. In fact, I have what we call a memorandum from our actuary that outlines the cost, which I'll be happy to share with you. This is dated January 8th, 2019, and at that time, according to our records, there were 79 individuals employed as Boston's public school police officers, with an estimated payroll of $4.6 million for 2018, an average age of 46, and average service of 16 years.
So would you consider that to be a pretty young department?
I think that's probably average across the city. I think our average membership age is around 49.
And so what, are we going to remain at those levels for school police? Do we have any, well, that would be a school question.
Yeah, I have no,
guess.
I
Yeah, okay,
assume so,
okay.
but I really can't answer that question.
Okay, well, that's a question for when we have school budget hearings. I think I'm good now, Mr. Chair.
Any question, my colleague,
Yeah.
Councilor Anissa Sabi George?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the lead sponsor on this. Would changing the group from Group 1 to Group 2 extend the average years of service? Is that something that we're going to,
No,
may
it's,
happen?
no, it's just the group age factor is the only thing that's impacted.
But that wouldn't hopefully encourage Boston School police officers to stay on the job longer as opposed to look for other opportunities where the retirement age is adjusted?
You'd have to ask these gentlemen what their desires are. I mean, what usually happens is you can retire at an earlier age, and some people do go out and get a second career after they leave the city. I hope I understand your question correctly.
Well, I'm hoping that this is a mechanism to increase the average length of time, make it easier, and, we want school police officers to stay on the job longer and to, because I know that, and maybe this is a question for them, but a few of the school police officers are sort of, they peel off for other opportunities and, part benefit, part opportunity. And the longer, when I taught at East Boston High, a lot of our school police officers had been there for a long time, and that longevity really adds to the benefit that they bring to the building. So I want to make sure that we're providing the benefits that would encourage a longer term of service within the unit.
What I can say is if we do this, they're eligible for the maximum pension earlier. Whether or not they take advantage of that, that's up to these folks here.
Right, thank you.
And a quick question, so Boston Police have a mandatory retirement of age 65. Does school police do not have a mandatory retirement?
Not that I'm aware of.
So to Councilor Sabi's point, Sabi George's point, if they go up to, say, 67, they're not disqualified because they're over the age of 65. They can continue their service. And then at that point, it would be someone looking maybe to calculate their best 3, but under the new rules, it's their best 5.
Correct.
Gotcha. Councilor Siomo?
And do you have the amount of the total pension cost and,
I do.
yeah, great.
So the normal cost as of July 1st, 2020 would be $65,000. The actuarial accrued liability would be $1,272,000. And the extra addition to the FY '21 appropriation will be $357,000. And I did do the math. The FY '21 appropriation right now is over $327 million. That equates to 0.001% increase.
And obviously, we want to stay on our pension schedule of 2024. This doesn't, we'd obviously have to pay a little more, but it would be within the same schedule.
2025, and yes.
2025,
We do have the schedule. As far as we're concerned, we're going to maintain the 2025.
And OPEB would probably remain unchanged?
That's a little outside my wheelhouse, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I think the city does have some plans for paying off OPEB.
Right.
I think they're going to be very aggressive.
But it
after.
wouldn't add more because they're going to get the same health care benefit, maybe, their determination of when they retire would, kind of.
I wouldn't think so, but
Right.
if you need that information, I'd be happy to go to the actuary and
Yeah.
ask.
Just wondering. That's it for this panel. Thank you.
Chair recognizes.
Sorry, one
Councilor Siomo.
clarifying. One of the other reforms was, isn't it a 15-year vestment now? It used to be 10?
No, it's still 10.
It's still 10?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
That was proposed, but
It didn't
not
go in?
passed.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilor Red Flynn.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the panelists for your professional work on so many issues. So going from Group 1, which is mostly administrative and clerical, to be reclassified to Group 2 with more of a public safety duties, that's the reasoning behind this proposal, isn't it?
I believe so. I'd defer to Councilor Baker and Councilor Flaherty on that, but that sounds like to be correct.
But going from 1 to 2, the reason you'd go into 2 is because you're in a, like a public safety function.
Maybe a little more hazardous.
More hazardous.
Right.
Okay.
Because I think if you look at some of the other Group 2 jobs, some of them include electricians and so forth.
When I was probation officer, probation officers were also classified as Group 2.
Correct.
And it was because of their interaction with, probationers and people within the criminal justice system. But just based on my experience, I have seen many times the professionalism of our school police, de-escalating situations that was based on their training that they received as public safety professionals. So, maybe I can talk further with these gentlemen about some of their specific duties, but just want to say thank you for being here and for the work that you're doing for the city as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Baker has a follow-up?
Yeah, so Tim, the way you get now in Group 1 at 60, you get 2%. Do they get 2% at 55?
Can you say that again, please?
So the pension now, you get 2, if you're Group 1, you get 2, you calculate 2% at 60.
Correct.
So now going to Group 2 at 55, do you get that 2%?
Yes.
Does that move down also?
Yes, that's right, right? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, everything moves down in the
Yeah.
normal fashion, right?
Yeah, and like to speak to kind of Councilor Flynn's point, that, can you imagine being our age now, potentially in the middle of, like, rolling around on the gym floor or whatever with 2 teenagers? So that's kind of the reasoning behind why I think these guys deserve the raise. Just that one situation there, which, I'm probably sure you've all been involved in and had that situation. So thank you, Mr.
Good.
Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Baker. So we're going to conclude with the first panel. I think I speak for everybody. I know personally, reaching out to both of you guys, you're extremely accessible, if not in this building, and you always respond to the council and their staff in a prompt and appropriate fashion, but also you're active in the community, so whether it's at the rinks or the ball fields, anytime we have a question about a city employee or a retirement issue or a pension issue, can't say enough about, one, your acumen in terms of being spot on with the information, but also to just how great you are with your time, and appreciate that on behalf of all the residents of the city. So with that, we're going to conclude the first panel.
Thank you,
to
Councilor.
both Timmy and Porrick. And we're going to start right over here with, we have a panel of our school police officers. We have Kirk Harrison, former president of the Boston School Police Superior Officers Federation, Julio Torres, who I believe now is the vice president of the union, and also Officer Ian McCain, who's also a member of the federation. So with that, I'll turn it over to you guys to introduce yourselves, your affiliation, and why this is important to you and your membership.
My name's Kirk Harris. I'm Sergeant of the School Police, 18-year veteran of the School Police. I was here during the refiling, or the original filing of the bill to the State House. To my left is Sergeant Torres, who's the Vice President of the unit, currently the Unit of Superiors. He'd have a short, brief narrative to read to you.
Very good.
Good morning, Chairman and Council. My name's Julio Torres. I'm the sergeant with the Boston School Police Department, and presently serve as a union vice president, which represents 18 superior officers. I would like to thank you for your time and take this opportunity to speak on the behalf of the school officers requesting to be considered for Group 2 retirement classification. The Boston School Police officers are trained by the Boston Police Department, National Association of School Resource Officers, certified first responders by Boston EMS, and successfully complete NIMS emergency management courses. These officers are licensed under Boston Police Department Rule 400A as special police officers, while maintaining jurisdiction in municipal school buildings and other city property. Each school police officer has traditionally completed the William Corn Academy, then assigned full-time to a high school or a middle school campus in the city of Boston since the department's inception in 1978. Once an event department of 152 officers with around the clock shift has now diminished to currently 75 officers. The significant reduction in manpower has, due to budget cuts that have incurred over the years. In comparison with our college campus police officers in the Commonwealth, the Boston School Police are not the on-site, hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Boston School Police are on-the-site responders, an important component in providing a safe environment for students to learn. The officers work unarmed, unlike other school officers in surrounding towns. The crucial omission has resulted in countless injuries to officers, in some cases injuries to requiring surgery and months of rehab. Although statistically our records has proven Boston School Police officers is quite successful in prevention of intruders or tragedy, Boston School Police officers develop close working relationship with students, staff, and teachers, while also devoting additional time to coach, referee school athletics, and mentor students. Because the school police officers work with school staff and students day in and day out activities, they become an integrated part of the campus that they serve. Multiple partnerships have formed with Boston School Police, such as MBTA Police, Boston Police, Juvenile Court, and Probation. School police have been instrumental in aiding these departments with solving and preventing a variety of juvenile crimes in the city of Boston. Unfortunately, Boston School Police officers perform all necessary public safety tasks comparable to other municipal officers defined in Group 2. Quotation, employees of the Commonwealth or of any county who regular and majority duties require them to have the care, custody, instruction, and other supervision of prisoners, but cannot receive many of the benefits such as reasonable retirement through the city or the Commonwealth. The men and women who vest unselfish public servants but remain unequally classified in their profession. In 2006, the Retirement Board approved the petition for Group 2, only to rescind the decision. The members of the department are asking for your assistance in amending the current retirement bill before legislation of reclassification. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Sergeant. Ian, any additional thoughts?
No, not at this time.
Very good. Councilor Baker?
No, I'm good. Thank you, guys.
Councilor Flynn?
Thank you, Council Flaherty. For either one of you gentlemen, I know you talked about some injuries and assaults that have taken place. Is that common, or how frequently would that type of situation happen, or is there a record that so many assaults take place a year?
I believe that Eric Weston or Ken Pelletro would have the correct numbers for that in regards to the statistics of A and B on teacher or assault and battery on police officer. This current year, we have substantial injuries to officers where our numbers are down, where it's hard to keep the buildings staffed as in school police officers. I know that myself, speaking from self-experience of 18 years on the department, I've received numerous injuries to my back, hands, and head, where I had to be brought to the hospital and treated. And
I know one of you mentioned hundreds of weapons that your department has found over the year. Could you give us an example of some of the weapons that you've found?
Knives, brass knuckles, tasers, mace. You know, we do find like indirect weapons where like a pencil, and inside the pencil is a knife. But that's once in a while, not occasionally. But knives pretty much be the primary thing that we find.
But also we've confiscated off students' firearms, and those numbers have fluctuated over the years from, one to several a year.
I've also seen school department police interact with students in a professional manner, and even when there's a volatile situation, your department is excellent on de-escalating a situation and working with the students and teachers and staff. Is that something you're trained on?
We are. We have NASRO training, which is the National School Resource Officer Training, which we received several years ago. Myself, I'm actually a softball coach and a soccer coach for Brighton High School, where I interact with them so much, they're almost like my children, where they actually feel comfortable coming to talk to myself or my staff, almost as though like they're their uncles, if not their guardians. And we get a lot of information. We get a one-on-one basis where we can deal with them and work out situations and work on solutions. It makes it a lot easier.
Well, thank you. I don't have any further questions. I just want to say thank you to all of you for your dedicated service to the city of Boston, to our students, keeping public safety, in always being there for our students. And I want to say thank you to Councilor Baker, too, for his leadership on this important issue.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. You had raised the issue, there was recited sort of a litany of weapons. I know that several years ago there was a phenomenon about stashed weapons, so you'd have kids sort of arming themselves to come to school, but know that they can't bring the weapon into school, so they'd be leaving them under cars and in trash barrels
Outside,
and
outside the
bushes.
school, mostly.
Outside, yeah. Are we still seeing that around?
Yeah, we still see that. You'll see it on, that's why we conduct exterior premises searches of all the schools that were assigned, where we'd find edge weapon, shods, and brass knuckles, pepper spray, to the effect. Even firearms we found outside. Even through threat assessments, we've recovered numerous firearms and weapons from those calls and text messages.
And have you guys seen an increase in sort of we're in a day and age of sort of a see something, say something, so are students more willing to come up to you guys to say, hey, this is what's going on, or, Mike and Frank, or they're up to something, they might be
I've
getting into?
had students come by me in the hallway and go, Sarge, check out the bathroom. And
Okay.
we're right next to the bathroom, and I go there, and
Got it.
there's an altercation or
Good.
something going on there.
Good.
That's how comfortable they feel, where they can sit down. I believe I was at East Boston High when she was this teacher there, Miss George, and, we got a firearm there when the trespass was trying to come through the gym door.
Right.
And we got him down at the Humana Bonds with a loaded 9mm.
Yeah, I mean, that participation and involvement in intel, and also them feeling comfortable in sort of like a community policing
Right.
environment in the school is huge for
Right,
for
that
us.
incident, there was a bunch of children from Charlestown High School that were trying to gain access to the gym of East Boston High. I was recently transferred from Charlestown to East Boston, where I was able to recognize the kids from Charlestown High trying to gain access to East Boston, which I was able to notify the sergeant and the other officer on duty, where we were able to apprehend the suspect with the firearm.
Okay. And then I know, saw it when I was an assistant DA, but a lot of the gangs tend to use the women or the young girls to maybe hold the weapons or carry the weapons. Not sure whether you're seeing that, and whether or not, in terms of your 79, the personnel is 79, how many of them are women that are trained officers?
I believe that we do have more males than females on the department. I believe that we have about
I think it's about nine.
nine female
Okay.
officers. They just recently hired several.
Okay.
And they just been put through the district and
Okay,
scattered around the
good.
district.
Yeah, I
to
think that's
assist with that.
important to kind of keep up with the,
Right.
so the demographics of the school population, but also having women on the job in this situation of maybe having to do a search or a pat
Right.
frisk or something
Right.
like that. But Councilor Baker, follow up?
Can anybody give me like a brief history of the department? When was it founded? How was it founded? And who has oversight of the department?
The department was formed in, I believe, in 1978. We had blazers on. We were known as security. In 1980, we were formed into the Boston School Police. That's due to product of busing. Due to that judgment, as you know, South Boston High and High Park, East Boston and surrounding, segregation was a big thing. So due to the fact of severe incidents and the Boston Police being inside the schools, they formed their own police department in 1980. From there,
And what were the, well, we should, I'm just going to ask the question so we can have it on record and maybe do a follow-up. Like, what were the numbers then? What, like, of men and women that were on the force? So what has it done over the years?
I believe it, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I believe it was from from my records, it was 152 officers around that time.
First started, and we're at
So now
75
we're at
now.
75
Yeah.
now.
And it fluctuates, you know, if people retire or go to seek other opportunities of employment.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Did you, how long have you been on?
I've been on since 2002.
Okay.
I know that the numbers are in regard to retirement, if this bill passed, 6 people would benefit from it. 3 of them are already, could retire. We have an 80-year-old officer, or just under 80, at Madison Park High School. We have
80?
80. She likes the job. Everybody looks at her
I guess
grandmother, I
so.
guess. You know, we have 2 other officers that are in their 70s that they do sustain, they come in on a daily basis and they do their job. So those are the 3 that would probably be, you know, eligible for retirement as we speak.
Yeah.
But as at the moment, with this being passed, only 3 more officers would be eligible for retirement at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Very good. And I had received notice from our colleague, Councilor McCarthy, who is en route, stuck in traffic. He has just arrived, so
Okay.
give him an opportunity to catch his breath, but I know that this is an important issue for him as well. So, and I know that the first panel had decided to stay with us. So if Councilor McCarthy has any questions of the first panel or the second panel, you're more than welcome to opine now.
I just wanted to come and just show my support. I knew I was going to be late for this hearing, but then I got stuck in traffic in Southie.
Anything else?
I know you find that hard to believe, Mike, that I got stuck in traffic in Southie.
So you're sitting next to the district city councilor. Maybe he can help you.
Yeah, so thank you, that's it, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Well, that will conclude this hearing, so I appreciate your time and attention to this matter, but also for the great work that you guys do on behalf of our city and our Boston Public Schools, trying to make it as safe as possible so that our kids can be there and get a great education and move on and participate in the local and the global economy. So you guys play a key part of that, and we're happy to have you guys in today, and hope to have something turned around through this committee in a short period of time, issue a committee report, and try to get a vote of the council. But I know Council Baker has been steadfast on this, as has other colleagues. So I think it's fair to say that the city council's on your side in this matter, and hopefully we get it through this level, have our mayor agree with us, and then get it up to Beacon Hill and see what we can do up there for you. So with that, I appreciate your time and attention again, and thanks for your service. And to the first panel again, thank you for all that you do. And with respect to this docket, it is docket 0830, petition for a special law act concerning retirement classification for Boston School Police Officers. The Committee on Government Operations is adjourned. Thank you.